So, for many years now, the Clockwork Mouse had lain at the bottom of the toy cupboard, gathering dust until one day Jimmy's mother decided to have a clear out and get rid of all the children's old toys. So, many years passed and the Clockwork Mouse was forgotten by Jimmy and the other family members, and it was kept inside the toy cupboard, and it was kept at the bottom of the toy cupboard. If nobody used to take it out, so remaining stationary at the bottom of the toy cupboard, the Clockwork Mouse gathered dirt over it, and one day Jimmy's mother thought that she would clear out her house. She would throw away the garbage, whatever the leftover things were there in the house, she was going to clean it up. So again she came across the Clockwork Mouse after a very long time. She was packing them into a big cardboard box to take to Oxfam when she came across the Clockwork Mouse. Now Oxfam, what was Oxfam? Oxfam is a place where you give away your old things, and from there those things, if they are in good condition, they are being given to the orphan houses for the use of the needy people. So she was packing the toys into a big cardboard box when she came across, when she ultimately found the long forgotten Clockwork Mouse. For a split second, she thought it was a real one as it stared at her with its beady black eyes, and she went cold with sudden fright. So when she found it at the bottom of the toy cupboard, for a moment she thought that it was a real mouse, because as it is, the Clockwork Mouse looked like a real mouse. However, dirt and dust it had gathered upon itself, but still the eyes and the appearance resembled as the real mouse. And so Jimmy's mother was very much afraid at first glance. She thought that it was a real mouse, and she was scared. But then she recognized it and picked it up by its tail, holding it rather gingerly, like this, gingerly, with loath, or with what should we say, with a fear and disgust, like this. And between her fingers and thumb, for the tail felt horribly real, because it looked like a real mouse, and it was also a dirty mouse, dirty toy. So she picked it up just like this and put it like this, like. No key, she thought. Jimmy must have lost it. So the thing is no use to anyone, and she dropped it into the waste paper basket. So she thought that there is no key with it and Jimmy must have lost it. So it is useless taking it to the Oxfam where the needy children could play with it. So she dropped it in the waste paper basket, the dustbin. In due course, the waste paper basket was emptied into the dustbin, and later the bin men came and tipped the contents of the dustbin into the refuse lorry. So she dropped it into the waste paper basket. The waste paper basket was again cleared into the dustbin outside the house, and then the bin men comes. They do come in our locality also. They do come. They blow the whistle, and everybody from their house, they throw their garbage into their bin. Now here they came with a lorry, garbage collecting lorry, and they emptied the dustbin in front of their house, and the Clockwork Mouse also went into the refuse lorry. Now what happened? Possibly because it was small, the Clockwork Mouse escaped being squashed by the crusher inside the lorry, and so ended up all in one piece on the rubbish dump. Now what happens? This rubbish lorry or the refuse lorry, they have a crusher. The grinder crusher, the rubbish are collected, the garbage is collected, and the crusher, they are dumped into the crusher machine, and there they are crushed together, and it is a heap of it is a lump. It is a lump, that means a ball, crushed ball of crushed garbage, and together they take it to the dumping ground and dump it over there. Now the Clockwork Mouse, because it was very small in size, so probably it was it was exempted. It was not noticed that it did not go into the crusher with other garbage, and when the refuse truck went into the dumping ground, the Clockwork Mouse was, and the truck was emptied over there. The Clockwork Mouse was in one piece. It was not crushed. So the Clockwork Mouse remained as a whole piece. It rained that afternoon and washed all the dust and dirt off the toy. Now it so happened that they have dumped it on the dumping ground along with the lump of the crushed rubbish, and in the afternoon it rained, and whatever dust and dirt had accumulated, had gathered on the body of the Clockwork Mouse, it had all washed away. So that by nightfall it looked as good as new. So when the evening, nightfall means evening, by evening the Clockwork Mouse, as the dirt and dust were washed away by rain, it became more or less new, as good as new. Once again it looked lifelike. That means again it looked like a real mouse. So much so that later that night a scavenging fox, searching for food scraps, picked it up in its jaws and carried it off. So it looked so lifelike. It was so real that during the night, a scavenging fox, scavengers. Who are scavengers? Scavengers are those animals who feed upon the deads. So scavenging fox from the nearby forest had come out on the dumping ground in search of food, and he was searching, and when he found the Clockwork Mouse, it looked so real, it looked like a real mouse, that it picked up in its jaw and take it to the forest to eat it up.